Hello, fellow souls. Let me start by saying that this may not resonate with everyone. We're each on our own path with our own blueprint. Some of us wake up early in life and some later, which each has its own set of unique challenges. So for many of us, this is how it goes. You're living your life like most people, going to a job you probably don't like, not getting paid enough for what you do, for how much it sucks it out of you. You're fast asleep believing all that has been fed to you since you were born, and why wouldn't you? But there is something inside of you that you can't define that is saying this isn't right. Your BS meter is going off. You hang in there thinking that you have no other options. You feel all sorts of negative emotions, but you keep them to yourself, or you drink a lot, or you act out. Things start accumulating, and the weight you feel is getting heavier and darker. But still you don't see the way out. This unrest you feel inside is always nudging you. Then it all comes to a head in one way or another. Different reasons for different people. Your soul has been trying to get your attention, but we haven't even been listening to the soul or spirit. We're too busy with life, too busy trying to keep up and make ends meet. Eventually, things come crashing down, or you might feel depressed or emotionally and mentally paralyzed. The Kundalini energy may have started moving and is pushing things to the surface, creating havoc in your nervous system and your life. Or you find yourself in the dark night of the soul, or both. Now begins a process of transformation that, depending on how much you have to clear or purify, may take a very long time. Fast forward to a time down the road where you've accomplished healing and clearing, and you've learned so much. You've been awakened to the soul and spirit, but also to the insanity of this construct that we live in. This brings us eventually to a point of spiritual maturity, where we're now focused on participating in higher consciousness and a better existence for all of humanity. We want to ascend. We do a complete turnaround from the physical life being the most important thing to our spiritual life being the most important thing. We reach a point where we're no longer interested in any of the things that most people are, and that we also used to be very interested in. We don't care about going shopping, mindlessly wandering through shop after shop, buying stuff we don't need. Many of us have already downsized and don't want any more things. We're no longer interested in celebrities or magazines or eating out at expensive restaurants or drinking. And it's bittersweet because it can feel lonesome when you no longer care to participate in many of the things that you used to. And when you do participate, it can feel like an effort. I'm not saying I never eat out or have a glass of wine or watch a movie, but it has changed significantly. It's not that I'm necessarily against it, but I just don't feel the urge that I used to feel. I'm very discerning with where I go and what I watch and what I listen to. I'm not wanting to invite any lower or negative influences into my field. I'm not in fear, but it doesn't rest well with my heart or my soul. We always need to be careful with what's being superimposed upon us. On this path of awakening, most of us find it hard to find others on the same wavelength. We find each other on social sites, but how often are they our family or our friends? There are many reasons and explanations I've heard about why this is a solitary path, but it doesn't make it any easier. It's complicated because it's not that you don't want to have social interactions or do some of the things you used to do, but it just doesn't feel the same. It's like we enter a different universe, and in a way we have. I'm what they call a wanderer. If you're not familiar with this, it's explained in the Ra books, the Law of One. Whether you consider yourself a wanderer, a light worker, a starseed, etc., we all chose to be here to participate in this ascension process, the ascension within, this great time of awakening. It's like we have to put our big girl and big boy pants on and accept our assignment of this spiritual nature. The shift from being asleep to waking up can be very daunting, and while most of us are happy for the transformation and would never want to go back, it can still feel bittersweet. The door has been opened, the page turned, the train has left the station. Whichever way you look at it, this is our new life with its own set of ups and downs. On the upside, we have an increased resonance with nature and we come from our connection with Source and our choices and decisions. We see things as they are and understand the workings of it all, so we no longer allow people to have power over our feelings and emotions. Not in a high and mighty way, but in a knowing way. Knowing that we can only look at ourselves. Not always easy, but very effective. Someday it will be the way of the world. We've discovered and learned so much in this process. I see everything so differently now, as I imagine many of you do. From traditional things to conventional ways to the expectations of society. It's like we know that the time we're living in now will be seen as crazy town at some point. Not just what is obviously crazy, but in many other ways as well. And this is what keeps us inspired and engaged, the imagining or visions of what's to come. Maybe we'll see it in this lifetime, or maybe we won't. But we know we're part of the ground crew. There's no limit to where you can go with this in your co-creation with Source, with your healing, your abilities, and to have the life that you want. I won't lie, it's been a long stretch. Maybe so I could experience all the different facets and phases. There are days I cried, enough. It's time for the good times to roll. But if it's not rolling, it's usually due to some conflict inside. Maybe we're not 100% there with what we think we want. But if you are, the sky can be the limit. Sure, you'll still be challenged along the way. That's what this physical existence does. But you now have your new awareness of the Source that you are. So yes, it can be bittersweet, but most things that are worth it are.